is Jarrod Horak for the RunawayHorse.com. Welcome to my latest horse racing video. This is going to be my weekly Saratoga update, and in this video I'm going to look back at the Coaching Club American Oaks from last weekend, and then also the Shoe. I'm going to check in on the leading jockeys and trainers at Saratoga, and then I'm going to do some analysis of some stakes races this weekend, including the Jim Dandy. Now, if you're interested in bonus free selections from Saratoga, head on over to the RunawayHorse.com on our Breeders' Cup 2022 page. My handicapping colleague, Dr. Atlas, is posting bonus stake selections from Saratoga all summer long. I'm also posting Breeders' Cup Winning You're In videos on that page, and including the Bing Crosby from Del Mar this weekend, a win and you're in for the Breeders' Cup Sprint. Now, if you're interested in my full card analysis from Del Mar, you can also find that at the RunawayHorse.com on my sales page, where you can purchase the entire meet, weekly and weekend packages, and individual full cards. And for more details, go over to the RunawayHorse.com and check out that sales page. Now, I also have some other free selections that I post, and I'm going to, in the description in this video, I will provide links to those free selections, daily free selections from Del Mar on the Del Mar website and at HorseRacingNation.com, my daily best bets blog. Links in the description in this video for those free selections. Now let's get back to last weekend at Saratoga, and we're going to look at the Coaching Club American Oaks first. That was for 3-year-old fillies at 1 1/8 on July 23rd at the Spa. And Nest, my top choice there, dominated that race. She just got out there. She was up on the pace. She turned away Secret Oath, and she just pulled clear in the stretch. The Secret Oath finished in front of her in the Kentucky Oaks, but no match this time. Nest was much the best. Secret Oath second. Nostalgic was third. Now, where they go next with Nest, we'll have to find out, because the Alabama has been the goal for quite some time. That 1 1/4 race, right up her alley distance-wise. But then the Travers Stakes is also 1 1/4, and she faced the males in the Belmont Stakes, and she was my top choice in that race, and she finished second behind her stablemate Mo Donegal. And now Nest, will she face males again and go in that tougher spot for the Travers, or will they just pick the easier spot and go in the Alabama? Both races at 1 1/4, both races at Saratoga later this summer, and we'll see what direction they go. I think Nest obviously would be a strong favorite in the Alabama, and she would be a solid contender in the Travers as well. Now, looking back last Sunday at Saratoga on July 24th, the Grade 2 Shoe only had a 4-horse field, 1 1/8, and Clairiere got the better of Malathaat again, just like she did in her previous start at Belmont Park. Now, Malathaat was better than Clairiere when they were 2-year-olds, but now Clairiere seems to have caught up to Malathaat, and she finished in front of her now in back-to-back starts. Malathaat was adding blinkers. She just didn't seem herself in this race. She didn't have a lot of energy, and just kind of ran around the track, and she finished second. So maybe they're going to be facing each other again in the near future. Right now, Clairiere has the edge. Malathaat's going to need to run better. I thought maybe she would get better this year. She was so promising last year, but she just hasn't quite moved forward enough. And we'll see if she can get better later on as the year progresses. But right now, Clairiere is better than Malathaat this year. And now let's check in with leading jockeys and trainers at Saratoga. Right now, the leading jockey is Irad Ortiz Jr. Not a surprise at all that he's the leading rider. And I mentioned in my first Saratoga video this year when I was previewing the meet that he was the top three for the top 3 percentage for in the money, finishing first, second, and third. That he had the highest percentage of any of the other riders, and that's been the case this year as well. His top 3 percentage is 59%. So anytime you're playing trifectas, Irad Ortiz Jr. definitely a rider to be using, because a lot of his horses, almost 6 and 10, are finishing in the top 3. Joel Rosario's having a good meet. He's second in the standings right now. Right behind him, Luis Saez, Jose Ortiz, and Javier Castellano. Now, Manny Franco has 7 wins from 41 mounts, but his top 3 percentage is only 22%, so that's very low for one of the leading riders. And then the next rider in the standings, a rider that I said to keep an eye on this year, Flavien Prat, who's relocated to the East Coast. He's having a solid meet so far, heading into Thursday, July 28th. He ended up, he had 6 wins, and now he's got 8. He's picked up a couple more wins. They just finished that July 28th card, and Prat had 2 winners. So he's moving up the standings, and I would think that he's going to continue to move up the standings. He's getting a lot of live mounts. It's just only a matter of time before he starts moving up the leaderboard. I would expect that he's going to be one of the top 3 or 4 riders at Saratoga before the meet is all over later this summer. The leading trainers right now, Chad Brown is the leader with Todd Pletcher. And then you have Mike Maker is third. And then there's a little bit of a gap back to Christophe Clement and Brad Cox. No surprises there. All the trainers that we expected to be on top are having good meets at Saratoga. And now we'll start to look at some of the stakes races. But first, for Friday, July 29th, they're running the Curlin Stakes, a restricted race for 3-year-olds at 1 1/8 miles. And sometimes you'll see horses run well here and then go on the Travers, and that's a possibility in this race. Creative Minister is your 2-to-1 morning line favorite. He was third in the Preakness Stakes, unplaced in the Belmont Stakes, and now he's coming back to this Curlin Stakes. And if he runs well here, expect that they would go to the Travers. I'm going to cover this race on my Horse Racing Nation Best Bets blog. Again, the link in the description in this video if you want to check out that free selection. I'll be posting that one this week for the Curlin Stakes. That will be my Friday pick on July 29th at horseracingnation.com for my best bet. Now let's look at some of the stakes races this weekend. And for Saturday, July 30th at Saratoga, the Grade 1 Alfred Vanderbilt, 6 furlongs, post time 4:50 p.m. Eastern time for race 8. And we have a heavy favorite here, and I wouldn't even try to beat her in here or beat him. I'm not going to really play this race. But Jackie's Warrior is the 4, 1-5 morning line. He's 3 for 3 this year, 11 for 15 lifetime, 4 for 4 at Saratoga, 3 for 4 at this distance, coming off of back-to-back easy wins in the Grade 1 Churchill Downs at 7 furlongs on May 7th, and then in the Grade 2 True North, 6.5 furlongs, dominated that one. So Jackie's Warrior has been dominating the competition for most of his career, just getting out there, setting the pace, very fast sprinter, and I think Jackie's Warrior at 1-5, I'm not going to try to beat him in this spot. But in the Jim Dandy, not a great betting race this year for the Jim Dandy, but it is an interesting race, and it's a good prep for the Travers Stakes. And that will go as race 9 for Saturday, July 30th, the Grade 2 $600,000 Jim Dandy for 3-year-olds, 1 1/8 miles on the main track. 5:37 p.m. Eastern time is the post position. We have Western River as number 1, coming off an easy win at 1.5 miles. I think the pace certainly is not going to set up for him. He's going to be too far back. He's not quick enough to win at 1 1/8 miles. Epicenter, obviously, 3-2 favorite, solid contender. He's run 8 times. He's finished first or second in 7 of those 8 races. He was second in the Preakness. He was second in the Kentucky Derby. And then before that, he won the Louisiana Derby and the Risen Star Stakes. Earlier this year, the Gun Runner Stakes, and then he was a close second in the Lecomte. So he's got running style versatility. He closed in the Preakness. He closed in the Kentucky Derby. He stalked in the Louisiana Derby, and in all of his other races, he was all over the pace. So I think they're going to want to get him up on the pace in this spot. For Joel Rosario, his regular rider, stays aboard, and I think they have to try to get him involved earlier if they have any chance to win this race. They have that inner post. Maybe if they want the lead, it could be his. Number 3 is Tawny Port, 8-1 morning line for Brad Cox. Probably doesn't have the speed. He won the Ohio Derby last time out, beating White Abarrio, and then White Abarrio came back and he didn't do well in the Haskell Stakes. So Tawny Port is one that could end up too far back here, and I just don't think he's going to be able to keep up in the stretch. Early voting, number 4, he's 8-5, certainly can win this race. He was my top choice in the Preakness, and he won that one, holding off Epicenter and winning by a comfortable 1.25 lengths. He was a close second in the Wood Memorial, and then he won the Withers and then his maiden debut. So he's 3 for 4 with a neck defeat. He's got early pressing versatility. I think if they're intent on going to the lead with Epicenter, I think early voting is going to be comfortable tracking. If not, I think he goes to the lead in here. And then Zandon is the last one. He'll round out the Jim Dandy this year. I don't know if he quite has enough positional speed to win it, but he certainly has a lot of ability. 5 starts. He's finished in the top 3 in all 5 starts. He's faster as a 3-year-old. He was good as a 2-year-old. He won his debut, and then he was second by a nose in the Remsen. And then each race he's gotten better this year. In the Risen Star, he was 3rd. He won the Bluegrass Stakes at 1 1/8 miles. Then he was a solid 3rd in the Kentucky Derby, rallying from off the pace. So I think that he's going to try to stalk the pace, and any of 3 horses can win here. I think if Epicenter could wire the field, but then he could also stalk and maybe pounce and win it. Early voting, capable of wiring the field, capable of pressing outside and winning. And then Zandon, his best hope is if Epicenter and early voting get into a protracted battle, and then he can go past them. I'm going to pick Zandon on top just from a little bit of value. I've always liked him. I think that if they do hook up early, early voting and Epicenter, and they go a little faster than they want. I think Zandon stalking the pace might be able to run them down, but I think maybe he could even be a better chance in the Travers Stakes at a mile and a quarter in a bigger field with more pace. But I will pick Zandon as for a little bit of value here, but I'm not expecting a big price. And I would not be surprised if Epicenter won. I certainly wouldn't be surprised if early voting won. So that's a look at those races. And then we have this weekend at Saratoga for Sunday. They got a couple stakes races. The Bowling Green, a grade 2 for Sunday, July 31st. Race 8, mile and 3/8 on the inner turf course. Post time 4:59 p.m. Eastern time. In that race, there doesn't seem to be a lot of pace in this race, so it looks like it's going to be a slow early, fast late race. There's only 6 horses, but I will side with Highland Chief in this race. He won the Grade 1 Man o' War on May 14th. That was his second U.S. start, and he was up on a very slow pace that day, and he was able to take the lead and hold off Gufo to win by a length there. And then in the Manhattan at a mile and a quarter last time out, there wasn't a ton of pace, but he stalked the pace, ended up finishing an even 4th. He was in that battle for second and third, but he just couldn't get there. So I think getting back to his winning distance with not a lot of pace, I would not be surprised if Highland Chief went to the front for Graham Motion and Trevor McCarthy. So he'll be my top choice in Sunday's Bowling Green. And then finally for Saratoga, the grade 2 Amsterdam for Sunday, July 31st. 6.5 furlongs for 3-year-olds on the main track, 5:34 p.m. Eastern time for the post. The competitive race here, Pinehurst the one. Flavian Pratt's going to ride for John Terranova. He's back from Dubai. He was a decent horse, finishing second in the San Vicente and winning the Del Mar Futurity last year. Gunite for Steve Asmussen comes off of a stakes win. He also won the Hopeful at Saratoga last summer. Pappacap's facing very good horses. He faced Jack Christopher, White Abario, Epicenter, Corniche, who's also won this race in Pinehurst. Accretive is number 5 for trainer Chad Brown. This one, easy win in the career debut, stepping way up in class second time out. So he could be any kind. Corniche finally returning, your 2-year-old champion, 3 for 3 last year. Won his Del Mar debut at 5.5 furlongs. Last 2 races, a mile and a 16th. Grade 1 American Pharaoh, Grade 1 Breeders' Cup Juvenile, wired the field in both of those races, finishing in front of Pappacap. And then for him, he was in the Bob Baffert barn. Now Todd Pletcher has him. And he does have a bullet work on the training track at Belmont Park for this. They paid $1.5 million for him. He's going to be all over the pace, but we'll have to see how he comes back in this race. My Prankster for Todd Pletcher, pretty consistent, and then Surfer Dude will round out the field. So Corniche could easily come back running, but for a little bit of value maybe over Corniche, I'm going to go with number 2, Gunite, as my top choice. He's run 8 times, and he's finished in the top 3 in 7 of those 8. 2 starts at Saratoga. Second in the Saratoga Special last year, first in the Hopeful by 5 lengths, and then he got back on the beam with a win in the Maxfield Stakes at 7 furlongs at Churchill Downs last time out. So I think with his early pressing versatility and an inner post, I think he could set a similar trip as he did in the Maxfield, where he stalked from post 3 in a 6-horse field, and he was able to prevail by a half length. I think he's going to set that same kind of tactical trip here from that inner post, and Gunite will be my top choice in the Amsterdam. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment if you like this content. That will wrap up this Saratoga video, and I'll be back, and I'm going to do a Breeders' Cup Win and You're In video for the Bing Crosby at Del Mar. And until then, good luck at the races.